My attention is piqued by the sound of a bird I've never heard before. It sounds almost like two short medium tone notes on a clarinet. As much as I try, I just can't identify or even see the bird in the treetops. It's been another week with barely any rain. There was just a short burst a few days back, but nothing really that's going to turn the grass green. The problem with this dry weather is that every time I take a step, everything's so loud, everything just cracks. I know as soon as I move I'm going to scare off whatever it is. Finally I give up. The sound of approaching dogs and barking must have now made it scarper. The red berries in the trees are the only burst of colour amongst whatever green remains on the leaves, and the floor is just dry, dusty brown. But at least it's been a bit cooler. We've had 3 heat waves so far, and the wildfires have made the news. One in the Cairngorms, one in the south of England, although not as bad as what they've had in France and Spain, with about 1/3 people having to be evacuated. My last painting was a little bit more successful. I never sold it, and the viewing figures on YouTube continue to be as low as ever. But I've had several sign-ups and members join me on Patreon. I think it was because for the first time in a while I shared it everywhere. I shared it on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the places I don't normally go. Not just the painting itself, but then the video in all the same places too. In the last few days I must have had 4 or 5 new members joining up, but as usual, for everyone that joins, another one leaves. I've still got that YouTube comment at the back of my mind now every time I think about what I'm going to paint next. It was the one that said you're using the same brushes, paints, paper, all the paintings look the same. To be honest, I knew this anyway. I'd felt the same myself for a long time. What I'm going to do is keep the same basic 7 colours, but I think on a regular basis now I'm going to put an alternative colour next to that specific one on the palette. I did try a completely new palette a couple of years ago, but I hated it. I never knew where anything was, and I spent more time searching for colours than I did actually painting. It's that instinctive knowledge, knowing where the colours are without even looking at them, that helps me fly along in this fast and loose method, which is why I soon switched back to my familiar setup. But I think it's important to have some sort of variation, some alternative, whether it's another blue, another yellow, maybe an orange, or just something on there that lets you go down a different route. You might not use it, but it's important to have that option. I've made my way now to the top of the hill, and I can see for maybe 20 miles into the distance. There's a huge hill which I've never managed to identify on Google Maps. It's a bit frustrating really. I suspect it might be the Wrekin, which I've heard people talk about around about Shropshire, but I can't be certain. I'll have to try and check again. But in the foreground there's the farm, and then the fields containing maybe 6 horses of various colours, just chilling out in the grass. Amongst all the trees and greens lies a solitary house. It's a white house that contrasts nicely against the dark greens behind it, with a roof that I think I'd maybe use a bit of light red, a bit of raw sienna, and then experiment from there. I remember Ron Ranson saying that eventually you'll learn how to mix colours instinctively that you see outdoors. And while it's true for most of it, we always encounter some colours that need a little bit more thought. But then again, in saying that, I've never really been one for trying to replicate colours exactly. I'm always aiming more for mood and atmosphere than anything else. The colours aren't really that important. I think a lot of people get too fixated on primaries, secondaries, complementaries. Maybe that's why other artists are more successful, I don't know, probably. But then I just paint the way I do and don't really worry about it. I think it's important we all get outside as often as we can and try to take inspiration from what's around us. This week I've been looking at the railways. I read a couple of books by Paul Theroux about his great train journeys, and it's something I'd love to do myself, but on a smaller scale. I think from where I am in the West Midlands, my instinctive journey would take me west towards the hills and mountains and Wales and ultimately the coast. I did a bit of research online and found out that the nearest port of call for the Welsh railway line to me is Sandwell and Dudley, which is only about 15 or 20 minutes from where I live, and the free parking is a bonus. The rail passes allow for unlimited travel for 4 days spread over an 8-day period, which would allow plenty of time to explore the Welsh valleys. I've definitely got plans to do that at some point in the near future. It's said that once you get past Shrewsbury and into the Welsh Hills, the landscape changes dramatically, offering limitless inspiration for painting. It also recommended Barmouth as a great destination point, and there's some nice guest houses just over the road from the station. I can just imagine myself now packing a suitcase, getting on the train and spending a few days exploring. I say hello as I pass a woman walking two greyhounds while listening to a radio drama on her phone. It's wonderful to see how different people relax. Another cacophony of sound, this time in the treetops. I still can't see what it is, but I do see a squirrel just below, scampering up and down the trunk. Maybe it disturbed their nest. I try and get closer for a better look, but there are just too many leaves in the way, so I decide to just turn around, continue along the narrow path through the cobwebs continually hitting me in the face, and then out into the open field between the tall grasses until I reach the sign for the Beacon Way. Pigeons break cover from the trees, and up ahead of me are four people on horseback. There's loads of stables around here, so these are a familiar sight. Amazingly, I did hear someone complaining once that the horses were irritating the dogs. But I mean, if you can't ride a horse in a nature reserve, where are they supposed to go? In the end there were 6 and I had to step into the rough to let them pass. We exchanged lots of smiles. Everyone up here seems nice. I'm well away from the rat race of the city centre. Country folk are so much more pleasant and laid back. It's quite busy up here today, at least relatively busy compared to what it's normally like. I think I came up here last week and I was the only person. Maybe it's because I'm slightly later. I did read the first few pages of my new book. I think it's called Vagabond, about a guy who starts off in Gibraltar and just walks all the way up to the northern tip of Spain with nothing more than a few essentials in his pack and a hammock. I'd love to do something similar, though maybe not quite as rough. The walk appeals, but I think I'd use guest houses rather than sleeping rough. The swallows are flying low over the grasses, seemingly at right angles at times, and for a moment I just stand there watching them, wondered how much longer they're going to stay. Now it's the beginning of August, and sometime soon they'll set back towards Africa. It's a tranquil moment until someone starts flying a drone overhead, disturbing the peace. Not to mention half a dozen walkers in front of me whose voices carry a considerable distance in the calm. So I decide to head back to the tranquility of the trees, where the only sound is the wind rushing across the tops, gently swaying branches and various bird song.